The cruiser Dawnspan drifted through the blue haze of the Rim Nebula as its crew prepared for the first diplomatic meeting with the Averil Dominion. For months, Earth had waited for an answer to the request for a peaceful exchange. The Averil had a reputation for elegance, pride, and a firm belief that humans were too wild to ever stand beside them as equals. Still, the Council wanted to try. The one chosen to represent Earth was a soldier named Rohan, selected not only for his discipline, but for his calm under pressure. That calm would be tested far faster than he expected. He stood in the Dawnspan's central hall, where banners of both civilizations hung from metallic beams. The human side displayed the simple blue and white crest of Earth. The Averil side shimmered with a gold fractal emblem. Rohan checked the seal of his suit, straightened the edges, and adjusted the translator disc at his collar. The arrival of the Averil delegation echoed through the chamber as soft bells chimed at the entrance arch. The Averil were tall, graceful, and carried themselves as if carved from crystal and wind. Their skin held faint light like pearl stone. Their eyes gleamed with layered hues that shifted as they moved. Leading the group was the Averil matron, Sarah Loon, known for centuries of leadership. Beside her walked her daughter, Lyran, younger, sharper, and far more skeptical. Lyran was famed for her temper and her relentless loyalty to Averil pride. Rohan stepped forward and bowed his head politely. He expected a simple greeting or acknowledgement. Instead, Lyran lifted her chin and spoke first, her voice melodic yet edged with scorn. "So the humans send a soldier and believe this will impress us. Do you intend to threaten us the moment we disagree? Or will you stumble over your own lack of grace before then?" Rohan held steady. "I am here to represent Earth with respect and honesty. No more, no less." Lyran smirked as if he had proven her point. "Even your phrasing is clumsy. You stand like a worker drone forced into armor. How do your people accept such presentation?" Her words stirred reactions from the human delegates who stood behind Rohan. Some shifted in discomfort. Others glared. Rohan remained unmoved. He had endured harsher insults in war zones and training halls. Still, Lyran's approach was bold, even reckless. Considering this was a formal ceremony, Sarah Loon watched her daughter quietly, unreadable. The hall fell tensely silent. Rohan wondered whether this meeting was already lost. He breathed and replied with calm precision, "I stand as a soldier not because Earth wishes to threaten, but because a soldier understands discipline and duty. Earth hopes to build trust with the Averil, and that starts by meeting you with sincerity." Lyran laughed gently. "Soldiers talk of sincerity while carrying weapons that destroy cities. Your species is chaos wrapped in soft flesh. You wear discipline like a costume, and you expect us to believe it." Rohan did not rise to the provocation. He refused to give her the reaction she clearly wanted. "You are free to judge as you see fit. But I am here in peace." Lyran stepped forward until she stood close enough to examine him. Her gaze swept from his boots to his eyes, as if she were inspecting a primitive artifact. "You are smaller than many of our guardians. Fragile too. Your hearts beat too fast. Your instincts are too loud. I could hear your pulse the moment the doors opened." She leaned slightly closer. "No wonder the galaxy keeps its distance." Rohan answered only with steady breath. The translator disc captured the silence and rendered it empty of meaning. But it was not empty. It carried a weight that made Lyran pause for the first time. She tilted her head, studying him again, puzzled that he had not cracked. Sarah Loon finally took a step. Her presence shifted the atmosphere like a tide changing direction. Every Averil straightened. Every human sensed a force of ancient authority. The matron's voice sounded like echoed frost, clear and definite. "Lyran." The daughter froze. Sarah Loon continued, "You speak as though you judge Earth solely by the wildness of its past. Yet your conduct reflects immaturity rather than understanding. You mock what you have not learned, and you forget the purpose of this meeting. Liren's composure flickered for the first time. Her eyes widened a fraction. Mother, I simply wish to demonstrate that humans cannot match our discipline. Sarah Loon moved closer, her expression firm yet not unkind. Then observe before you speak. You mock the human's stance, yet he stood like a carved pillar through your entire storm. You challenged his discipline, and he displayed more of it in a moment than you have in years. Liren inhaled sharply. Her pride trembled. Her mother looked at her with a gaze that cut more deeply than any blade. To learn respect, one must first show humility. She raised her hand in a gesture rooted deep in Avril tradition, a gesture known among their people as a formal correction in diplomatic settings. Her voice echoed through the hall. On your knees. Shock rippled across both delegations. The command was ceremonial, not punitive, a teaching rite used when a young leader overstepped her judgment. It was no cruel act, but a symbolic call to anchor oneself, to remember the ground beneath arrogance. Still, Liren had never been given such a command in public. Her face flushed with luminous color. She hesitated only a moment before the weight of her mother's authority settled over her. Slowly, gracefully, she lowered herself to her knees. Her gleaming armor pressed to the polished floor. She bowed her head. The gesture stunned both sides. For humans, kneeling held many meanings. For the Avril, this one meant reflection, acknowledgement, and grounding. Rohan did not react outwardly. He simply stood with quiet understanding. He had no desire to see her humiliated. He respected any culture's traditions, even if he did not fully understand them. He waited with patience until Sarah Loon turned back to him. Human soldier, she said, your restraint honors your people. Your composure in the face of my daughter's arrogance was not only admirable, but instructive. Rohan bowed again. I seek only to represent Earth with sincerity. Sarah Loon nodded, and that sincerity has been seen. She then touched her daughter's shoulder. Liren lifted her gaze, meeting her mother's eyes. The moment stretched like a bridge forming between generations. When Sarah Loon stepped back, Liren rose smoothly to her feet. Her pride was not shattered, only reshaped. She turned to Rohan. He expected more scorn, maybe bitterness. Instead, her voice was measured. I spoke in haste. I judged too quickly. Your steadiness was unexpected. She paused, searching for the correct words. I acknowledge your discipline, human soldier. Rohan accepted her statement with a simple nod. Thank you. Sarah Loon extended her hand toward the center of the hall, where a circular table rose from the floor, its surface shining with embedded light patterns. Shall we begin this meeting properly? The delegations took their seats. Rohan sat across from Liren, who now watched him with curiosity rather than contempt. Her earlier arrogance had softened. She seemed to be studying him anew, trying to understand why her attempts to provoke him had failed. The discussions began with trade, possibilities, and shared scientific ventures. The Avril offered knowledge of energy harmonics. The humans offered gravitational mapping and the neural link, technology that had allowed faster communication across star clusters. Both sides found unexpected areas of interest. During a pause, Liren leaned slightly toward Rohan, her voice low enough that only he and his translator heard her. Your calm earlier, she said. Was it training alone? Rohan considered. Training plays its part, but so does understanding. You did not insult Earth out of hate. You reacted from what you were taught. I simply chose not to feed the fire. Liren blinked slowly. Among the Avril, that gesture showed introspection. And you considered that in the moment. Yes, she exhaled. That is rare among our young. Your kind surprises me. Rohan gave a faint smile. Humans tend to do that. Lyran sat back, thoughts shifting behind her colored gaze. She was no longer mocking him. Instead, she seemed intrigued by the layers of humanity she had never bothered to examine before. As the talks continued, Sarahlun watched them with subtle approval. She had hoped for diplomacy, but had not expected such a meaningful shift so early. Her daughter's arrogance had always been her greatest strength and greatest flaw. Yet today, she had witnessed Lyran grow in a direction she had not foreseen. Hours passed as agreements formed. Communication channels were established. Scientific teams were proposed. When the time came to conclude the meeting, Sarahlun rose and addressed both sides. Today marks the beginning of a new path between Earth and the Averil. Respect was earned. Understanding was reached. And a lesson was given not in dominance, but in growth. Lyran stood beside her mother, not with pride, but with steadiness. She turned to Rohan one more time. "Human soldier," she said, "your presence here changed my view of your species. If you represent Earth's discipline, then perhaps there is more to your people than the galaxy believes." Rohan nodded. "And if you represent the future of the Averil, then I see hope for us both." The hall quieted as the delegations prepared to depart. As Lyran passed Rohan, she paused. "I still think you humans rush headfirst into chaos," she said, though without mockery. "But perhaps you do so with more purpose than I understood." "And I still think the Averil hold pride like a shield," Rohan replied gently. "But perhaps that shield guards more than arrogance." For the first time, Lyran smiled without a trace of scorn. "Then let us see what our people can build together." The meeting ended.